All right, thanks for coming, everybody. And I know a lot of you, and some of you I don't, but if I don't know you, welcome, and thanks for being here. My real name is Philip Earl Johnson, and I am a professional entertainer. I have been a professional entertainer for almost all of my adult life, except for about 2 years after college when I was muddling through as best as I could, sort of mending a broken heart, doing whatever job I could possibly find. But after those 2 years, I have not had another job other than being an actor or entertainer of some sort. And I have supported 4 kids and a stay-at-home mom for a wife, traveling around the country, doing my show. I'm also an actor, and I'm gonna talk all about this stuff, but just to give you a little bit of a background, and I'm an actor as well. I do television and film and union theater, and that is one of the 2 careers that I have. The other one is, for the most part, just being Mooney, what we were just talking about. It is my show. Most of you know what that is, so I won't go into that. That is a show that I have been doing for 30 years. And when I was 7 or 8 years old, I did a play in my class where I had to smash a tomato in my face. And from that moment on, it was like sort of it really was the beginning. I can still remember, I was the cuckoo bird. I didn't have any lines, but there was a moment where I took a tomato and smashed it. People laughed. And I thought that at that moment, I can still remember that laughter going, more of that. That is what I want. And at that moment, I didn't think of clowning. That wasn't even something that came into my, it wasn't even on my radar at all. All I wanted to be was an actor. I was just like, I'm gonna be an actor. That's all I ever wanted to be. So I went to school and I got a degree in theater. And then I realized, oh, they were right, you can't make money. So I gotta do something else to support that. So that's how I became, that's how I started becoming Mooney. So the pictures that I'm going to show you are kind of a little bit of a journey through some of the stops along the way. My first job ever at performing quasi-professionally, even though I wasn't paid, but it was in front of people that didn't know me, other than the school play, right, was at a Renaissance fair, and I have been doing Renaissance fairs ever since I was 17. And this is a photo of me. I don't know if you can see it very well, but I'm about to get punched in a staged combat way. And I just noticed that when I was looking at the picture again this morning. I think that's my mom. In the picture, which I never noticed. I was like, it's too blurry that I can't tell. But I want to show that to her. And it's even like, if it's not my mom, she's got the right mom gesture. He's about to die. But at that moment, I was like, I'm in front of people. It was like this awakening, and I was about to go off to college and learn how to be an actor. So this is really one of the earliest photos of me performing. And then every year I go back to the Renaissance Fair, and you have to do a different thing. And I was Luigi LaRue, the Italian fishmonger, in this one, and this was my first time out on my own. That other one, I was part of a cast, and so I was directed. But this was the first time that I was given the opportunity to go create. You go and do your own thing. We're not going to watch you. We're not going to tell you what to do. And that was a brilliant moment of like, oh, great. I can do, it wasn't brilliantly successful, but it was a moment that I was given for myself to create on my own. And that is, not everyone gets that opportunity to do that as an actor. To say, all right, go create a character and go create whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. And the Renaissance Fair has been really good. Now, another show that I went on to do, that I don't know if you can see very well, but I'm covered in mud. And this is $1 that's going into the hat. So I did the Mud Show. It is a show that still goes on, and it's basically, I'm going to talk about that in my other show, but it's a show that allowed me right after college to make money. And that's part of the things that I did. It's a great show in and around a mud pit. And it makes a fair amount of money. And I was able to use that, because I wasn't married or had kids, to support myself doing that. But I was always still going to be an actor. This was always the thing that I was going to do on the side. This was just a step along the way. Now, this is, I don't know if you can see very well, but this sort of hippo-like creature, that's me. And just the crazy stuff that you have to do or that comes up in these performance situations. You don't know, like the fire engine. Like, okay, I'm gonna go. Well, there's 5 guys in the mud show. Okay, this one, I'm gonna scoot ahead just to give you, that's us right there. We can show that again. There's the 5 of us in this show. Oh, wait. Okay, and my friend Conrad, who I'll pick out the one with the 5 of us were there. He is too drunk to do it. And what this is we're covered in mud and we jump through the air to put out a flaming bale of hay. And my friend Conrad says, Moonbeam, I'm too drunk, I can't do it. So in that moment, I was like, oh, okay. So like, it wasn't planned. It was just like 1 minute I was like, yeah, Conrad's gonna jump in a bale of fire. And then the next moment I'm jumping in a bale of fire. I had no idea how to jump in a bale of fire. All I knew that I was utterly covered in mud, so I thought, how bad can it be, right? So I did, and I did survive. As you can see, the hippo-like creature is celebrating after having put out the fire. And this is the 5 of us. This was in the newsletter, and we are the Sturdy Beggars Mud Show. And this, I love this photo just because, I mean, I know all those guys, and I don't do the Mud Show anymore, but my friend, the little one, he passed away from AIDS in the early 90s, and then the one at the end, that's Conrad, the bigger guy, he died from just not taking care of himself. So this photo just brings back so many memories for me. It's sexy as hell. Okay, so this photo you can't really. This is just me taking pictures of my old photos. So I'm sorry for some of them. This is the worst one, but that's me, and that's my girlfriend. And this was a gypsy dance show. I am not a dancer. I do not have training as a dancer, but I put this one in because, for that same reason, about that moment of, Moonbeam, I'm too drunk, you do it. Like, yes, saying yes. That is the key. One of the most important keys to developing as an artist is just saying yes. Now, the woman who ran this show said, hey, do you want to be in the dance show? And I'm like thinking, I don't dance. Like, I don't dance. But I had this moment that was really important, and it has served me. It is one of the most important lessons that I ever learned about being an artist. And that is, if somebody thinks that I can do something, who am I to say that I can't? Maybe somebody sees something in me that I don't see in myself. And who am I to disagree? Even if I'm not that good at it, I told her that I wasn't, and I actually wasn't horrible. She didn't really want me for my dancing. She wanted me because I could talk and I could project my energy out into it. And I could move, I could dance okay, but I'm not a dancer. And I wanted this photo in there because it was so important for me to explain that the moment of saying yes, it can't be overstated. I did, as I say, I went and I got my degree in theater, and my first job after graduating was at the Illinois Shakespeare Festival. And my friend Michael was actually in that company at that same time. It was just, and he just got back from Singapore with his husband Noel, and so the chance that you'd be here and I'd be talking about a thing that we did 30 years ago is pretty awesome. So I always wanted to be an actor, but I had to support myself doing that other thing. But how do you make both of those work? There's 2 different careers, and they don't really go well together, unfortunately, because theater takes up a lot of time, and I have to be gone doing my show a lot of time. So how do I work them together? Well, basically, you just keep saying yes. You just keep saying, well, I'm going to try to make it work. I'm not going to just give up because it's hard, because it's always hard. It is never gonna be easy. I'm 55 and it's not easy. It's still not easy. And I don't have a retirement plan. I don't have anything. I don't have a net. It's just me and my kids trusting that I'm not going to screw up, and my wife trusting that I'm not going to screw up. And so far, so good. Like, it's been going on for 30 years. Will it go on next year? I hope. I seriously don't have any idea what's going to happen. But you have to fight for what you want. You can't just say, oh, it's all going to work out. No, you have to ask people, trust me that I can make this thing happen. So for many, many years, I worked at the Bristol Renaissance Fair, which is right on the state line of Illinois and Wisconsin. And I worked at the Illinois Shakespeare Festival, and I would do 5 shows a day and this was simply because, and it cost me money to do this, and people think you're insane. You're insane, but it's to stay connected to your art and your passion. I would do 5 shows a day during the day of the Bristol Renaissance Fair, and then at 4:30 in my costume, I would run to my car, I would drive 2.5 hours, and I would get there a half an hour before the show. I would change into my costume, and then I would play roles like Coriolanus and Coriolanus, Macbeth and Macbeth, Henry VIII and Henry VIII, Petruchio and Taming of the Shrew, a whole full lead in a Shakespeare play, and then I would drive back the next morning, getting up at 5, and do 5 more shows that day, and then drive back to the Illinois Shakespeare Festival. And I did that for years, and it takes an artistic director with steely balls to trust that his lead actor is going to get there on time. And I never missed a curtain. In 6 seasons of doing that, back and forth, never missed it. One time I got there 10 minutes before curtain, but I always made it. And I like to think that I was worth the wait, but I'm glad they didn't have to. I'm never gonna learn that one, right? Okay, all right. So as an actor, you have to promote yourself. You have to get the right materials. Hi guys, welcome, Tiffany Wilson. So these are like headshots. You got to get headshots and you're constantly having to get new headshots because you age, and I need to get new headshots now because just like if you're a kid, you got to get them done every 2 years. When you're old, you got to get them done every 2 years too, because it changes that quickly, right? So you got this is part of the deal of being an actor, is getting headshots, and then you choose which one you think is the best, and then you show it to your agent, and then your agent says, no, that one sucks, do this one, and then they pick one, and it lands like that, and it's like, oh yeah, that guy's not so bad looking, like, okay, yeah, I'll take it, and then you have to send those out, and you try to get jobs. Now, this is me early on in the Mooney Show, because after I realized that I couldn't make a living and I got in the Mud Show, I was approached by an artistic director of a festival who said, you should have your own show. I said, I don't have a show. And he said, that's okay. I'll pay you $150 a day. You go ahead and you learn. And that moment was absolutely terrifying. It is a terrifying, terrifying moment to be given an opportunity, because I didn't know that I could do it, but I absolutely wanted to. This was a window, and the key, I know I've missed a lot of windows, but this is a window that I didn't miss. I saw the opening in the window, and I jumped, and I was horrible. That first year, I was horrible. The show that I did, the first year that I was doing Mooney shows, bore no resemblance to the Mooney Show that I do now. And it wasn't good. But the one thing that people said to me, which kept me going, was I was likable. So even if my tricks weren't good, even if I wasn't funny, they said, you're likable. We like you, and we want you to succeed. And in the beginning, I'm like, that's enough. That's enough. As long as you're not like, you're creepy, I gotta go, then we like you, we're rooting for you. That was enough. And then I went to a juggler's convention, and I took a comedy workshop from a guy, and he said, you are gonna suck, not to me, to everyone, you are gonna suck for the first 200 shows. If you can get past the first 200 shows, you're gonna be okay. That is a lonely journey, those first 200 shows, because that's almost a year of sucking. But the thing is I didn't suck every show. It's like there would be a show where I'd be like they would be laughing the whole time. I'm like, I made it. I'm here. I'm funny. They like me, and I'm funny, and I can do this. And then the very next show, just crickets, and like, you can't figure out, how could I just be hilarious? And then the next one, how do I not be funny? I don't know. But luckily I had heard the first 200, you're gonna suck. And he was about right. It was about 200 shows. And after that, I started to figure out, I'm getting how to connect the dots. But I had to take that moment of failure. I had to gut out that first year of failure in front of people. And it's horrible. It's really, really uncomfortable. It's not what you want to do. You don't want to stand in front of people and suck. But that's what you're going to have to do, for sure. This is a picture of me at the Illinois Shakespeare Festival playing Macbeth. And, did I miss one? There's me playing Coriolanus, which is, it's not a great play, but it's a really fun role to do. And this was a big turning point in my life. I was acting in Chicago, and I was cast miraculously. Basically what happened was I turned down, and this is an important moment. I was scheduled to do a festival, a Renaissance festival, and Mooney by this time was going well. And I was making money. I was supporting myself. Everything was fine. Okay, so Mooney is set. But I had been focusing on that for a couple of years. Well, one of the directors at the Illinois Shakespeare Festival, who I worked with, asked me to do a play in Chicago, but it was for no money. And I was gonna make probably $8,000 in 2 months, which in the early 90s that was gonna get me through the winter. That was gonna get me through the winter. And he said, will you come and do this play? And it was the lead in a super fun, aggressive, but rock and roll show. And I was the sort of Marlon Brando kind of guy in it. But I had to turn down all that money to do it. And I just said, it was one of those moments where there was a window, another window. And I'm like, yes, I can go and make money. I could do that, but I'm already good on that. And I can't give up on my dream. My dream is to be an actor. That's what I really want to do. So I can't give up on that. So is money more important than my dream? No, it's not. So I said, all right, I'll do that. Then I guess I'll have to get a job. By that point, I hadn't had a job in like 4 years. And I didn't want to go get another job. So I'm like, okay, but here's a chance. It was a huge hit. It was a monster hit in Chicago that year. People still talk about that production. And from that production, I got the best agent in Chicago. I was signed to a manager in Los Angeles. And the next show that I did after that was I played Jesus in the Passion Play at a big equity theater in Chicago. Then I worked at the Steppenwolf Theater in Steve Martin's world premiere production of Picasso at the La Pana Gilles at Steppenwolf Theater. And then I went into a play at the Goodman Theater, which is the biggest, oldest theater in Chicago. And then from there, I was cast, and all these were as a non-union role. And then I was cast in the national tour, the first and only national tour of the Tony Award-winning play Angels in America. And if I had gone to take that money, that $8,000 at doing the Mooney show, which would have been fine, that window to the life that I have now would have been closed. And so it's not only about the money, it's about committing to the thing that you know who you are. I know who I am, and I'm not gonna stop that. I can't stop it until no one wants to hire me anymore. And I don't look for work. Work just finds me. I've been lucky. Where's the freaking wood? The universe has taken care of me. I'm very, very, very lucky and very appreciative of that fact. And so the national tour of Angels in America toured all around the country. We played in Sarasota at the big clamshell in Sarasota. We played in the Historic Theater in Miami. We played all around the country, and I did that for a year. And my name is even in the book. Like if you were to go buy the script at Barnes & Noble for Angels in America, my name is in the cast list in the front of the book. And then I moved to Los Angeles. There's a picture of my cake my mom made, Bon Voyage, Our Angel. And then I moved to Los Angeles to pursue my career in film and television. This is my wife and me a long time ago. And she came out to visit me when I was playing in Connecticut at the Colonial Theater. It's a beautiful Baroque, ornate, you know it? Yeah, it's a beautiful theater, isn't it? Yeah, no, actually, it was in Boston. It was the Colonial in Boston. We played the Schubert in New Haven, which was cool. Because there's all this theater history in the Schubert. The original the tour for Streetcar Named Desire was the cast to sign on to be in that place, and I had, that was the first equity show that I did. Actors Equity is the actors union, you know that. It was the first time I'd been in an equity show, and now I'm in these hallowed halls. It was a big moment. My wife, she wasn't my wife back then, but she came with me when we played. We played at the Kennedy Center for 8 weeks as well, no, 10 weeks that summer. This is a photo that I include because there's weird moments that happen. This is a photo that I was given because, and I don't know how we got in there, and I was really uncomfortable, but I was young. And there was a guy who took photos of men with their shirts off in their dressing room. And he came in, and how he got inside the theater, I have no idea. Apparently this was in Boston at the Colonial Theater, and he came up into my dressing room and he had a camera, and he's like, I'd love to take your picture with your shirt off. And that was literally the introduction to this man. And I was like, yeah, I do it with a lot of the touring shows that come here, and it's just a catalog that I keep. And I was like, it's like, yeah, I just did it with Peter Birkenhead. He was another guy in the cast, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay, sure. So I took off my shirt and I let him take my picture, just because I was like, this is the dark side of saying yes, right? This is. No harm came of it, but when you're in this mode of saying yes and you don't know why you should say no. Okay, now if he had asked me to remove everything, of course I would have said no. But I was like, well, it's just my tits, so okay, no problem. I'll just take off my shirt and there you go. But it was a really uncomfortable moment, and he came back and gave me a photo because my mirrors were broken, I guess. And I couldn't see it for myself, but I kept it as a sort of reminder of remembering who I was. If I had to go back now, I'd be, no, that's, I don't know you, so I'm going to say no. But at the time, I didn't know to say no, so I just said yes, and luckily no harm came from it. I moved to LA. And this is just another production of The Normal Heart. The character in Angels in America was a gay character. And so when I arrived in LA, the only thing that I auditioned for was gay characters. Because in Hollywood, no one has any imagination. You have to know that. The only thing they're trying to do is recreate the previous success. And what they see you as is the best way that they can pigeonhole you into their success. So for me, I was an actor who played gay characters. So that's kind of the way Hollywood works. This is, this is slightly out of order. Is it? No, okay. So when in LA, my daughter gets sick, and we don't know what it is. And so we come back to do the Shakespeare Festival that summer, and she had been sick off and on sick for about 4 months, coming down with these bad illnesses. And then we came back to Illinois, and right away she was diagnosed with leukemia. And we moved back. We stayed in Chicago, moved into this tiny little apartment, and I still kept working. This was me doing a production at the Chicago Shakespeare Theater it's a straight play called The Herbal Bed, about Shakespeare, but not a Shakespeare play. And all the time that my daughter was fighting, my wife was taking her to the hospital every day to get chemotherapy and fight this illness, I am off pretending to be this young lover man. And I think I'm 39 in that photo there. And this is my daughter, Sophie, and she's the one that came down with the leukemia. And unfortunately, we lost her when she was 5 to the leukemia. And that, you know, I could go on and on about that, but that was an extremely tragic moment in our lives. All the while, I was still going on doing, as an actor, performing Mooney when I wasn't acting and making people laugh, but that's my job. That is what I do. That's what I signed up for. So whether I was happy or sad, it doesn't matter what's going on. Your job is to go out there and still make people happy. That's to your left there, that is Sophie again. And then on your right, that is my son, Cooper. And they're my 2 oldest kids. And this is Cooper now. And he is the starting catcher for Ole Miss. And he is ranked as the probably the best defensive catcher in college baseball at the moment. He's a junior now, and this is the draft year. So keep your fingers crossed for a good signing bonus, because otherwise he's just going to go back. He's going to stay in school. It's not a matter of if; it's a matter of when he gets drafted. And that is my daughter Sadie, that is next to him. And I felt it important that I include my children. Oh, there's Cooper. That was opening day. That's him on the opening day tickets. So it's obviously, as a baseball nut, it's pretty exciting to see him exceed all expectations by excelling on that level. And that's my son Quincy. So I've got 4: Sophie, who passed away from the leukemia, then Cooper, then Quincy. He's graduating from high school in a couple months, and Sadie is going she's in 7th grade, and she is 12. So I felt it important to add my wife and my kids in there, because the challenge you can't overestimate the challenge of trying to raise a family on an artist's salary, a clown's salary, because there's moments of panic where you're like, this isn't gonna work. How is this gonna work? Well, it doesn't, there's one way to say, like, oh yeah, I've got all this courage to stay with it. But at this point, it's really like, well, it's this or Quiznos, so like, I'm gonna stick with this. So it's not really about courage at this point. But along the way, there were definitely moments of courage of sticking with it when you've got all these mouths to feed, all these people counting on you. And it all along throughout it, balancing off between Mooney and being an actor, the challenge of going out every day and doing it over and over and over again is intimidating. But the beautiful thing is, like, and I love this photograph, and these are my favorite photographs of Mooney, are when the photographer on that rare occasion is actually on stage and taking a picture. Because this is what I see. I see hundreds and hundreds of people all out there laughing and having a great time. And that is a beautiful sight. You all have to look at me. I get to look at all of you at the same time. And that is my life. I'm not good out in the crowd. I'm better up here. And I did that for a reason, because now I'm not nervous. I'm actually not nervous when I'm up here. When I'm out in a crowd of people, that's when I get nervous myself. So all along, going out and having that moment with the crowd, every time being new and fresh, and for that crowd only, is the way that I approach it. But it's also my reward to see the audience and to see them perform and to see them watch me perform. And this is me like 5-6 times a day. That's my life. Like, my life is, you're one day come to the fair and you're like, Mooney, yes, Mooney, you're so happy to see you, gosh. Dude, we've been taking pictures of you with our family for 20 years. Here, look at this. This is from last year. Here, would you pose for a photo? So that's their one shining moment. My life is that moment over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And how great is that to be the recipient of that moment of joy? And I have nothing to do with it, really, other than just stand there and listen and take it and go, yeah, awesome, good for you. I'm so happy for you. Thank you so much for coming. I'm delighted. And I just did my show. But I do my show hard, like you saw, not only, it's not just the firemen, like there was another thing that happened out there where there was a guy that was not paying attention. He was in the front row and we had to take care of that. And we will take care of that, and we'll take care of that hard if we need to take care of that hard. And the best part is he's the only one that's not going to think that's funny. But he was also the biggest dick that was in the crowd, right? So it's kind of like success is sort of built in with that work model, right? So you play hard and you go hard. But as I said before, the truth was that guy was being a dick. So I'm just pointing it out that he's being a dick, and that's funny. There's nothing funnier than dealing with the truth. Okay, so Mooney also had to go through a bunch of different looks. Like I don't know, what does Mooney look like? Well, Mooney looks like what I think he looks like in my brain, and then I pay someone to make a costume for me. This is a costume early on that I had made for me. Actually, it was a combination. Actually, only the vest I had someone make. All the rest of it was just stuff that I bought and combined. Here's another look for me. Like, what does Mooney look like? Well, Mooney looks like that. If I say Mooney looks like that, it's my damn thing, right? And this thing, this cloaky thing that's over me, I'll tell you, it's big and beautiful. It's big and it's double-sided, and wherever I go, people are like, oh my God, where did you get that? That is beautiful. It's the number one thing that I own that people comment on, and I got it at a thrift store for $10, right? Like, you just never know. And I've kept it, and it worked great for that photograph. I mean, so to speak, did it? I don't know. Okay, this is from a photo shoot of Mooney. It's the cover of my DVD that I have, and this was just a montage that he did of me. Look at who does that? Why did I do that? You don't know. You're in the middle of a photo shoot. You just go with it, right? This is a look. I actually kind of like this look. There's a sort of classic clown look about that one. That was an earlier look. Okay, this one I wanted to have in there because I do not remember this at all. I have no idea, and so much of my life is me acting in the moment, following instincts. I don't remember yet. It's gone. Like, I just act on it. It happens really fast, and then it's gone. Like, there was something we did, and there was cream, and then that's it. Like, that's all I remember. I don't even remember. I'm just seeing it, and you could describe it as good as I can. Like, I don't know. Okay, this I do know. This is from the Mooney and Brune show, which is another show. I have so this is like, so I got Mooney, and then I had this other opportunity, this other performer guy named Brune, who I've been working with for 15 years. He's like, hey, at the end of the day, they won't let me pass the hat. They bought my pass the hat away from me, so I can't pass the hat. Why don't you come on? We were sharing a stage in Northern California. Why don't you come on stage and we'll just mess around and you make fun of me while I do my show? I'm like, well, okay, I'm not doing anything else, so sure, I was just backstage. So I come on out, and pretty soon the show evolved within that year to us doing things together. And by the second year we were doing it, there was no room for other humans. It was an incrustation of space for humans and faces, and it took off in a way that I couldn't believe. And we were like, we should get t-shirts. Okay, sure. And we sold the entire lot in one show. It was like, this is awesome. Like, we're good. Look at us. And that was just because he said, hey, you want to come on? I'm like, yeah, sure, okay. And who knew? And I've been performing. We've traveled to Australia to perform. We've performed the Hollywood Fringe Festival, Melbourne, the Minnesota Fringe Festival. We have performed hundreds and hundreds of shows in theaters and in Renaissance festivals all across the country. And this is just from a dumb bit that we do. This is just another bit where it's like, do we fire? No. Okay, that's cool. Kneel down. All right, sure. Like literally, that is the kind of thing that I do. Like, here, eat some fire. Okay, I don't know how, but but yes, and. And that was the first time I ever ate fire was in front of about 400 people. And it wasn't, I trusted him. I didn't trust myself. Like, I didn't know what to do, but I knew that he wouldn't let me burn. And he didn't. And, right? That's trust. Like, that's trust, right? I mean, but it's more trust in the situation rather than trust in yourself. Like, it's gonna be okay. Let's just say yes. And okay, this is he and I. My daughter Sadie, who's 12. He has a daughter who's a lot taller than my daughter. And that's his daughter, and they were born within two months of each other, which was a moment we had both our daughters there, and we brought them on stage. Here's me eating fire in the bit another time. Okay, so the audience is a really, really big part of the show, and I believe that as an artist, we have to know our place as artists, how we fit into the community, how we fit into the world at large. And for me, it was always very, very important. And no one told me to do this. No one ever said anything, but it worked out really well. I thought, well, I go really hard, and I go inside. I go inside people's guts, I go inside people's hearts, and I go inside people's minds. And I don't ask for permission. I just do it. And I think that if I do that without asking permission, then I should at least be available to talk after the show if they need to work something out, because sometimes I'm aggressive. So, like, let's just work it out. So for me, after the show, I try to make myself available. I do make myself available for people as long as they want to talk and hang out. So for me, my relationship with my audience is very, very important, because I feel it pays respect to them as they have paid respect for me. And I honor that relationship that we have together. And I think that is just sort of a microcosm of the greater idea of connecting to our community. So this is this is the look that Mooney has now. And luckily I found it because it's very iconic. Not the sign so much, but you can kind of see the hat there. That's the only, I'll have more photos of it here. Okay, this is me. I don't know what happened, but I liked him. And so it'll happen. It doesn't usually happen, but this apparently did. He probably just picked me up in the middle of a hug. Here I am, I'm frisking the guy, but basically I just wanted you to see the costume. And then here's the best picture of the costume. And I had all these costumes all along, and they were all fine, but they weren't distinct enough from everything else that was around, because at the Renaissance Fair, there's a lot of costumes and a lot of color, and you needed something that could be iconic, that was a brand for myself, so that people would go, ah, that's Mooney, no matter what, even if it wasn't me. And to illustrate that, how effective that this costume was, I just wanted to simplify it. It's just red and black and white stripes, so that as soon as you saw that from a distance, you would know that that was me. And a guy made an emoji of me, and there's no doubt that it's me. There is no doubt that it is me. And that, to me, the reason I love the emoji so much was like, yes, it worked. The branding, like saying, yes, there's nothing else that looks like that. That's just me. Anywhere on the planet, if you know who Mooney is, then you know that that is Mooney. And it was, it only took me 25 years to get, no, it was a little more like 20. It only took me 20 years to get there, but I happily did. Okay, so all the while I'm doing theater, and I'm balancing back and forth, supporting a family, trying to do the best that I could. This is a show that I just closed last weekend. It was a scary thriller, and it was a big hit, and we were asked to move to another theater in the summer, and I played a super intense, creepy guy in that one. But I love this picture because the orange that's coming back through there's nothing that seems, yeah, that would be a fun place to go. No, it was not a fun place to go. It was a motel room, but it's just a set. It's just and last year, like when I was a kid, I was 16, I took a workshop at the Goodman Theater, and to me, the Goodman Theater was sort of my dream to work there. at the Goodman Theater, because I was a 6-week workshop, and I met Tennessee Williams, the playwright, that summer, and to me, it was the pinnacle of where I wanted to go, was be at the Goodman Theater. And last year I played the lead in an Ibsen play, and that's me on the marquee in front of the theater. And like, that kind of stuff usually doesn't get me excited, but it was like, that's the moment. Like, that's the moment where you go, I was a 16-year-old kid with a dream, and there I am on the marquee of the Goodman Theater, the place that I thought was the pinnacle. And it was, to top it off, the director is a Tony Award-winning director, directs all around the world, and he and I got along really great. So he hired me to, this was just more braggy. There's me in the poster, and the other one is the next show that was coming in with Stacy Keach. So me and Stacy Keach just kind of hanging out at the box office. And that's the Goodman Theater right downtown Chicago. And I'm after this next weekend, I start rehearsal for a Shakespeare play called A Winter's Tale, also at the Goodman, also directed by Bob Falls. And then after that I go on to do Mooney. So it's really like I'm just in the middle of the river of the flow of my life, and it's just going back and forth from plays to Mooney to family to traveling around and saying yes to things that you don't know you can do is, for me, the greatest lesson that I can give to anyone that would want to pursue anything about art. Just say yes. Even if you don't know you can do it, just say yes. Thanks so much.